So I guess one more time, so I can just say, how many of y'all feel like, how many of y'all are actively growing teams? How many of y'all have one or more downlines? Cool. So with that being said, right, can we agree that we're always taught to day 1, day 2, day 3 train, but then after that it's kind of like fend for yourself, right? And so Raph kind of wrote this meeting about managing your people out of training, because can we agree? When day 1, day 2, day 3 training is for them just really adapting to the culture, seeing if they're fit for the sales side, really seeing if they can like be here long term. You know what I mean? And so managing people out of training, this is so important, because I think that if you can manage day 4, day 5, all the way to day 12, I think that we can start building leaders a lot faster. Does that make sense? Okay, so this is the first week out of training. So this is like day 4 through day like 11. Does that make sense? So first week out of training, the number one most important thing is to prepare them to work with other people. Preempt them. So like if I'm training Brienne and I've been with her for a full day, what I'm doing, if I want to be a good leader, if I want to be a good future manager, is talking about if I see car rides and I see that Brienne is with Estelita today for the first time and Estelita's training her, I'm gonna preempt Estelita like, hey, Brienne's a very structured person, so when you give her feedback, you gotta give her step A, step B, and step C. And then I'm telling Brienne, hey, Estelita doesn't train like me. She uses a lot more personality. So what I want you to focus on is making her personality a step A, step B, and step C process. Right? And so like if you can funnel your team's thoughts, then you can go ahead and preempt a lot of negatives. Does that make sense? So you always want to preempt someone if it's their first day solo, right? I'm never letting someone just go to the field without talking to me. And I'm not telling them, hey, just keep in contact with me every couple of hours. No, I'm preempting them like, hey, this is the type of leader Bug is. Okay, she doesn't blast music on the way there, so make sure you bring your own energy. Okay, right? Like she gets there and she works hard and she takes one break and that's it. So if you make sure you're prepped for the day, because if you need anything, right, that she's gonna leave the car right, she's driving, right? And they always leave around 7:15, 7:30, so they're not gonna extra mile that late. And now that person knows that they gotta get everything they gotta get done between 7:15, 7:30, get everything prepped, do what they gotta do. Does that make sense? And not only that, how do you think the new person feels? Good. Why do they feel good, Trey?
Because now they're prepared.
They're prepared. And not only that, take it a little further. Think about it, if your mentor, if your upline came to you and was like, hey, this is the kind of car you're gonna be in, I already talked to them, but this is what some of the stuff I'd watch out for or be prepared for. What do you think that person's, what are you feeling?
That they care about you and what you need.
That they just give a shit. Right? Most of the time people stay because they just want to feel like somebody gives a shit about them. And if you go the extra mile just by preempting them on that, the amount of gratitude that is created just from that, like almost, what is it? That sub-level action is so important. You know what I mean? Does everyone know what I mean when I say sub-level? Like just doing it behind the scenes. A lot of actions that are done behind the scenes created in the front scenes gratitude. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Second thing, good habits versus bad habits from people. Okay, one of the greatest mysteries that people will tell you in this business is that they work so hard for someone, and then you put them solo, and then they fucking shoot the shit. Right? Like they like crap the bucket. It's the craziest thing ever. Right? And some of y'all seen it, like they do so good with y'all, and the moment you put them solo, it's just nothing. No energy, nothing like that. Okay, it's because people are we're taught to follow, not to lead. So you gotta tell them, I'm sitting down Bug and I'm saying, hey, right, this is what made our days so successful. Running to every door, right? Pushing phones, not sales, right? Resourcing out whenever every 10 talk tos if we didn't see the result we liked. This is what made us good. What would have made us bad is if we don't communicate, we take tons of breaks, okay, and we're not prepped for the day, and especially this weather, by not being prepped with like jackets or anything like that. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Cool. Who to learn from? This is so good to prep. Because if I'm sorry, but if I'm sending Keith in a car ride for the first time, I'm not telling him to learn from Alice. And it's no shot at Alice, but all I'm saying is what?
They're both new.
She's lacking fruit.
Yeah.
They're lacking perspective, right? So I'm gonna say, hey Keith, right? The biggest thing I feel like we need to work on right now is gonna be just hitting 2 laps. So I want you to see Bug's pace. She's on pace to always hit 16 doors every hour, and that gets you to 100 doors, and then you can do that again. And that's the way she always does it. Yeah, prep them on who to learn from. You should always want to prep your person on who to learn from. A great place to do this is during practice pitch. Okay, because the edification between cross lines is so much more powerful. Imagine if Sharon has this new guy, Jaquez, with Bug, and Sharon wants to be like, hey, you're going with Bug today? She's a freaking animal. Okay, something's clicked in the last couple of weeks that she's just been on her game. So I would learn from anything she has to say. Let me know if you need any help. But she usually has a handle. Now that guy's like, all right, I'm in Bug's car. Does that make sense? So prepping them on who to learn from and edifying their credentials. Don't lie, just edify their credentials. Any questions, Tori? Okay, goal setting to get promoted to leader.
Wait, what was that?
Goal setting with them to get them promoted to leadership. And I love the next one that Raph added. Okay, this is gonna be a little bit uncomfortable at first, but I think it's so cool to see people's work ethic because I have this conversation with people in their first week, and I think it's been a huge game changer. Okay, you ask them, what kind of money do they want to make? Like, what is the dollar amount that you want to make? Because think about it, right? If I'm telling someone, if I ask Porto, hey, what do you want your paycheck to be? And he says $1,500, and I'm like, okay, then you need to have 15 sales delivered. And in order to do that, you got to make 20 sales a week. See that make sense? So now when Porto does 10, right? He's not mad at the paycheck. He's mad because he didn't hit the goal that we set. Because I related a paycheck to a goal. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Using the tracker. Show them how to use the tracker. Okay, what this means is in terms of showing them how to track their sales. Showing them how to track, how to submit their sales. Right? Showing them how to use the iPad. Consistent communication. Preempt them on the amount of consistent communication with who? Upline, okay? And the manager, for sure. I try to get everyone in the habit of sending group text, right? Because I really don't like it when I think someone no calls, no shows, and they're like, no, I texted Miriam yesterday. And they're like, people expect Miriam to just reach out to me and tell me. Right, with me, I'm like, do you expect Miriam to wipe your own ass too? Right, like just put us in a group chat next time. Because it's like, you shouldn't, but the gray area is, you tell them to communicate with their upline, not to you. Does that make sense? So when you're managing people, outside of just training, you want to say, hey, if you ever need anything, put me and Danny in a group chat. Put me and Zach in a group chat. Put me and Alexis in a group chat. Using the WhatsApp as a tool. Not to post the stinking constellations. Okay, using the WhatsApp as a tool. That way y'all can go to build culture. They say, I love how he says it. He says, using the GroupMe as a tool. I mean, he says they use GroupMe, but using the WhatsApp as a tool because the culture after Admo is the WhatsApp. Culture after Admo is the WhatsApp. Okay, that's the first week out of training. Now is when they're pushing for leadership. This is how to train them when they're pushing for leadership. Okay, first question, the first thing you want to do to train them is teaching them how to think for themselves.
What was the title of that one?
The title is When They're Pushing for Leadership. Teaching them how to think for themselves. This goes back, right next to it, I'll put like hyphen and I would put mindset versus technique. Do we want to teach technique or do we want to teach mindset? Mindset. What's the difference? Someone teach me.
I feel like mindset, they would know what to do in situations, kind of think of, like if they have a problem, they can think of it on the spot, versus as technique is kind of like they're, it's more of a specific kind of thing.
Yeah.
Rather than coming up with it on the fly and what to do.
Exactly, right? Like the perfect example, right? Hopefully, Trey, you don't mind me saying this. Trey came up to me and he says, hey, how do I do this announcement? Right? And I said, hey, I don't care how you do the announcement. These are just the core principles that I want you to go, to portray through the announcement. Does that make sense? So I don't care about the technique of what the announcements are. They don't even have to be the same. But the core principle of it, which announcement was it? Team night. Team night. I was like, hey, all I do is you want to edify team night, talk about association, okay, and talk about office presence extended into team night. That's all. Those are the three mindsets you want to get through. And if you can teach that through whatever, it's a good announcement. You say, okay, cool, got it. Right? And so like that was an opportunity to teach mentality and not be like, hey, say, who here wants to be an owner? Team night, let's go. Right? And I feel like some of us, not everyone, just a few, right? I feel like a lot of us, we get a team of employees. We get a team of followers. We get a team of shadows. Right? And if you're gone, the team doesn't know what to do because you don't give them opportunity to think. I was having a one-on-one with Bug yesterday, and every question she asked me, I asked her. And she didn't know she knew the answer to all of them already. And she's like, hey, what do you think I need to improve upon? I'm like, hey, what do you think you need to improve upon? She's like, well, I think I need to work on this, and this. I'm like, that's a great idea. Like 90% of the answers when you're a mentor is asking them the exact same question. They're like, hey Danny, I just got kicked. What do you think I should do? I'm like, well, I don't know. What do you think we should do? Like, well, we can probably just hit some resis right next to it. I'm like, all right, cool. Sounds like a great idea. Right? If you ever re-ask the same question to them, I promise you 90% of the time they will have the answer. Does that make sense? Okay, asking them what makes them lose their attitude in the field. Can we all lose our attitude for different things? I don't mind saying it, guys. I lose my attitude in the field when I don't get talked to. I don't care if I get no's. I've never lost my attitude off of getting no's or getting multiple talks. I just hate when doors don't answer. Because I'm like, dang, like now you're taking the ball out of my hands. Okay, so, right, and my mentor knew that. And so he would always make sure to preempt me as saying like, hey, are you willing to do 4 laps today if you need to? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, cool. So if you're not at 40 talk tos at the end of 2 laps, do another one. And he would tell me before I even stepped in the field. So when it was 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock and I was only at 12 talk tos, what do you think mentally I was ready to do?
All
4 laps. Yeah, haul it. Because my mentor preempted me on like, how do you lose your attitude? Where does Bug lose her attitude? Okay, right? She gets bored in the field when she's by herself. So I know that if I can, we're gonna put her side by side with someone because that will not only up her production, but it will actually make her enjoy the field. And that's not something you need to accommodate to. That's just something as a leader you want to preempt. Does that make sense? Is that confusing anyone? No? Cool. Alright. Why do some days you produce and others you don't? Teach them that. On why do they produce some days and some days they don't. Right, so how would I teach that? I would say, hey, right, it goes down to 3 things. I always label the field as 3 things: pitch, pace, and attitude. And if you do all 3 100%, you will always get on the board. You will always hit standard. But if you get under 3, it's usually because either your pitch, your pace, or your attitude was off. And they're like, well, no, because Ting was there. And I'm like, okay, so did you lose your attitude? They're like, well, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool, then your attitude was off. So you didn't hit standard. Dumbass. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Awesome. Any questions on that? Cool. Let's keep going through it really quick. Alright. So, asking them what is the hardest thing they struggle with. Whether that's the pitch, or is it the phone process, or is it the email process, or is it the rehash, or is it calling back? Like, what is it that they're struggling with? And what do you think when they answer that? What do you think you're going to want to do?
Help them with it.
Make that your focus. Because if someone's strength is sales, do I only want to talk to Bria about sales? No, but if Bria's problem is, I don't know, professionalism, then that's what I'm going to harp on before she gets to leadership. Hey, you're really good on leadership, you're really close, you got your qualifying dates, but let's start looking the part as a leader now. Let's start acting the part as a leader now. Let's start talking the part of as a leader now. And you see how I'm like blaming leadership for her need to improve? Right? And that's how you want to do it. Okay, and that's a way of edifying leadership. Because if we just threw everyone in leadership, right? Can we agree? It wouldn't mean as much. So before someone gets promoted, you want to edify things like that. Hey, you're coming in at 10:30 or 10:20 every day. When you get promoted, you're not going to make it to leaders meetings. So show me you can come in at 9, 3 days, and then we'll talk to Danny about getting you promoted. Like, it is okay to hold your people back. Does that make sense? Okay, then you can recommendation of personal growth. What do you think they need to work on? Hey, I'm noticing you're coming in tired. Are you sleeping? Hey, I notice your energy drops down really low throughout half of the day, right? Like, what are you eating? Stop eating shit. RECCOMENDATION. 1 C, I like. I love this one. Ask them their thoughts on the meeting. What did you think of the meeting? How many of y'all have asked, what did y'all think of the meeting? Okay, how many of y'all have asked y'all as people, what do y'all think of the meeting? Okay, it's such an important thing to do. Why do you think it's important to ask?
Just your perspective on what the meeting was based on.
Okay, the perspective. What else?
Build value.
Okay, build value.
No brains. Keep it fresh and like keep it in their minds.
Find out what motivates them.
Find out what motivates them.
If they have like any questions.
Questions. These are all right. These are all right things. Also, it sparks self-reflection. Because think about it. How many of us, and it's okay because me too, right? How many of y'all thought like, oh, this meeting's not for me, I've heard it already. I used to think like that all the time. I used to think like that all the time. I'm like, oh, I've heard this meeting already. He's not talking to me, he's talking about someone else. And I wouldn't even listen to the meeting. Okay? But when someone asks you like, hey, what do you think of the meeting? It makes you think about, okay, well, what did I hear? Does that make sense? You don't. If we miss out on that question, we kind of sacrifice the one in 1 ear, out the other. Okay. Same thing with impacts. Motivation versus mindset. motivation versus mindset. And what I mean by that is you want to teach them how to have the mindset to be motivated, not motivated to have the mindset.
So teaching them how to
Mindset to be motivated and not motivated to have the mindset. It's okay to start off motivated, that builds the mindset, but can we agree there's burnouts in the business? It's because they rely on motivation, they rely on ammo, they rely on things still keeping their energy up. But can we agree? After about 10 ammos, after about 15 ammos, you start expecting the next things to happen, and then you start looking at like, oh, the energy's bad. But think about it. Imagine it on our worst day. Let's take our energy. Let's take our ammo to a Panera and see what everybody else thinks. Let's do ammo in front of a Panera. What do you think everyone would be? Like, oh wow, these guys are energetic, huh? Right. So even on our worst days, it's still better than 90% of our past employments. Does that make sense? So the honeymoon phase will always wear off. Okay? But you want to teach them how to have the mindset to always stay motivated. Does that make sense? Cool. Being a student. Give shoutouts on student mentality. Give shoutouts for people being on Chang's calls, on Richard's calls. Replying to the video I sent yesterday. Like, hey, I'm so appreciative of this person just becoming a student of the business and giving time after the field to listen to even a 4-minute video that can help build mindset. Right? And that shout out's so powerful because now what are they going to do next time you send a video? Watch it. And even if they do it, just be like, I just want another shout out. Even if they do it just because of that, can we agree they're still going to learn something? I've never seen someone get dumber from listening to Raph. Or listening or watching one of Richard's meetings. Make sense? Be a good example for your guys. Right? Whatever their goals are, become a good example of it. Whatever their negative is, be the best at it. So if someone says, hey, my struggling is sales, what do you think you should make your focus on? Sales. If your focus is, if your person's difficulty is showing up on time, what do you think your focus should be? Showing up on time. And so on and so on and so on. Right? And then he puts again, stress the importance of being a student. Leadership is just the beginning. When people make it to leadership, I'm like, congrats, like your interview started. Okay, now this is their promotion to leadership. What do they think about the business? Goals for next promotion. Goals for level 2. Like Brad's saying, you should have a level 2 breakdown before they get promoted to level 1. I love that idea. Why do you think that's so powerful?
It's a little bit without.
What? Okay. What else?
give them something to look forward to.
Give them something to look forward to. What else?
Not like settle for level 1, just be ready to go ahead and get to level 2.
How many people don't get stuck at Leaderland? Leaderland of level 1, people being there for multiple months, right? People being there stuck, like it sucks, okay? And it's frustrating and it's annoying, and it's just something you don't want to be in. So if you have a level 2, right, breakdown with them, then you have the ability to go ahead and be like, okay, this is exactly what I need to work on. And then the gap from level 1 to pursuing level 2 is so much better. Make sense? Cool. Same thing, right? When they promote, what kind of money do they want to make in leadership? Interview here? Oh, but there's an interview here, so.
What did you just say?
Huh? Talk about the money they want to make. Next one is talk about the money they want to save. Explain why they need to be good examples now. And that was the last bullet point. Any questions so far? Okay, well, like, what are some key takeaways that we haven't been doing that we can improve the office?
Goals on level 2.
Goals on level 2 before they're promoted. What else?
Ask them what type of money they want to be making.
Ask them what type of money they want to be making.
Teach them the mindset rather than the technique.
Okay, mindset rather than technique.
Reverse the question on them.
Now, how many of us have not been doing that? The reversing the question on them.
I would ask the question, but not like switch it, like turn it on like that.
Okay. What else?
The preemption of like working with other people, the negatives.
Well, think about it, right? Like, how many of us have had to like be on the phone with our downline because they had a bad interaction? It's exhausting. It's exhausting, and it's not the leader's fault whatsoever because they're not the downline per se, right? And so it's like don't expect anyone to ever build a team, but always appreciate that someone is willing to. Does that make sense? Okay, so you want to go ahead and preempt anything possible. That way, the least amount of negatives happen. Make sense? Cool. Well, hey, I'm gonna post a picture of this in the leaders chat. Talk about this, guys, and like we're gonna keep running these meetings in leaders meetings. So I would love for people to keep attending and keep talking about the leaders that aren't here. I would love for y'all to hold them accountable too. Make sense?
Makes sense.
All right, we have interviews coming.